can take all the tea in China.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Naked Turner. Today I'm going to be turning a second pepper mill, and this time I'm going to be turning it out of a piece of poplar. So I have this piece of poplar here on my lathe, and I'll pan down and show you that in a second. Don't forget to read, understand, and follow all of the shop safety for any tool that you're using when you're using it. And don't forget, the most important thing, always have your eye protection. I'm going to have my safety shield on in a few minutes, but for now I just put on some safety glasses. Let me pan down and show you this chunk that I'm going to be working with, and I'll go about doing a slightly different process than I had done before, and hopefully this will make the process a little bit easier. Alright, so here I have the piece of poplar between centers. I have my tailstock locked down, center point, and what I've done is roughed it into a cylinder, and then I've made a series of tenons, one on this end, one on this end, one on this end of this piece, and one on this end of this piece. This is the mill housing. This is the mill body. So my mill housing will eventually be a little bit shorter than this, probably. They say to start out with about a 3.5 inch long piece. You're going to end up finishing up with a 3-inch piece, so this leaves me a 1/4 inch on each side to be able to pare this down a little bit. And then up here, it's as long as you want it, which I'll probably end up with something around a 6-inch, making this whole overall piece about 9 inches long. Alright, so there you have it. We'll get started on probably parting this right here, and then we'll start addressing the mill housing, which is the first part we'll be drilling out. There'll be a series of Forstner bits that I'll be using to drill this bottom out. 1 3/4 and a 1 1/2. Okay, so today Barbie's going to be doing a little bit of turning on my lathe here. So let's see what happens. There you go, Barbie. She doesn't have her safety gear on, but it's okay because she doesn't have real eyes. Anyway. She's got to do some, she's got to take a few classes and she'll get better at it. Okay, Barbie. Okay, here we go. Barbie's going to be up here watching this process. She's trying to learn a little bit about turning, so hopefully she doesn't get injured. She is doing something that I wouldn't advise. Never straddle your headstock, as this piece can be spinning at extreme speeds, could catch a piece of clothing, wrap you up around here, suck you in, and that would definitely not be pretty. But because Barbie is not wearing any clothes today, and she happens to also be a Barbie, so she's not really going to sustain any life-threatening injuries by sitting there, I'm going to allow her to watch this process from that position. Anybody else who might be trying to watch this, I would definitely not allow them to straddle my headstock. It's just way too dangerous. All right. Okay. Barbie had assured me that nobody would be offended by her not having anything covering her breasts, but I just wasn't sure if any of my viewers might be offended, so she just went off to wardrobe and had a top put on. She's now back. Wardrobe said this should be okay. They made sure it's not going to fall off and get wrapped up in the spindle or anything. And even if it did, like I said, Barbie's not going to sustain any life-threatening injuries, although she could be thrown and potentially injure me, so I want to make sure that she's not going to do anything crazy while she's watching. But she'll be sitting here on the headstock hopefully this goes well. Alright, so I have this mounted in my scrolling jaw chuck. I flipped it around. This is where my step center was at my drive end. So now this end is facing this way because this will be the bottom of my mill. Or the bottom of the mill housing. So there you have it. And up a little bit. And leveling out of here. Sorry about that. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to true up this shoulder. And I'm going to true this up and get rid of this. And actually, maybe I won't get rid of that yet. That'll be a good way to center up there. So yeah, I'll get rid of that. Start fresh, make myself a new tenon here, and measure the distance to here. Then I'll drill a hole that gets me 5/8 of an inch from this shoulder, not this shoulder, but from this shoulder, 5/8 of an inch up. All right, that's going to be the next process. All right, so here we go. Barbie's watching. Running this up around 1800 RPM. And I'm just going to part that off so I get a nice true center mark. The next thing I'm going to do is, I'm not even sure if I really need this on here anymore. But for now, I'm going to leave it there, just in case. This is part of the process that I'm changing because I noticed that if I had left myself some tenons on either side of this, it would have been easier without having to make as many jam chuck type things, which I already kind of diminished that on my other process, but this makes it a little easier. Okay, I got my speed running down fairly slow, around 320 RPM, and I'm going to see how centered I am here. Okay, that looks real good. I'm starting out with my 1 3/4 hole. What I want to do is from this point right here, so I'm going to back up now that I have a shoulder created. From this point right here, I want to go, let's see here, burning an inch. I want to go 5/8. Oh boy, it's pretty much exactly 1 inch from that point, maybe just a little under 1 inch. So, or actually, because I have an underside here, I'll be going 1 inch. Just use my index on my tailstock. Just do it with this. Okay, so I'm right at 1 inch. And if I go right at 1 inch from there, I'm 5/8 in. So that's pretty much perfect. I'll have the ability to grab this in case I ever wanted to. All right. So now I'm going to change out my drill bit. Will get changed. And now I'll be going down to my 1.5 inch bit, and I'll be drilling the rest of the way through the mill housing. So yeah, I'll be drilling the rest of the way through the mill housing with this 1.5 bit. Now I have my 1.5 bit, and I'll be drilling all the way through. So here you have the mill housing, and the mill clips in up under here, and then up here you have your mill body, and that's where all of your pepper grinds go. This plug will be able to be removed, and you fill that tube. That tube feeds the grind mechanism. The grind mechanism is in here, and you can adjust for fine or coarse settings. Anyway, here is where I need to come in and bring the body of this to. This is my 3-inch mark. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and off. There we have that. You can see hole in there and run all the way through. All right, be doing a little more work with that anyway. Okay, so now take this. This was oriented before in this manner. So now what I want to do is I want to work on it this way with the top of it up here. Okay, clamp it loosely. Push it down. Make sure it's fully clamped in here. Okay, first thing I need to do is take and square up this edge. All right. Now what I want to do is measure up 7/8 of 1 inch. Which is right there. Make sure I've got exactly 7/8. And yes, indeed, I do. What I want to do is turn this down to 1 1/2 inches. And in order to do that, I'm going to grab my caliper. Okay, so here I have my caliper set at 1 and a little over 1/2. And then I'm going to come in here with my parting tool.
And you fill my life with laughter. You can make it better.
Check that. Okay, that feels pretty good. It's beautiful. All right, there we go. So now I got a 7/8. Let's just double check that. That I do indeed have 7/8. Yep. The next thing I need to do is I need to drill a hole all the way through that piece. That's 1 1/16 inch. All right. Okay, so here I am set up with my 1 1/16. All right, here we go. Down around 400. Good, there it is. That should be it. Together.
Take away all my sadness. You ease my troubles. That's what you do.
Okay, here I was not sure exactly what I wanted to do next. I thought I was going to use this as my jam chuck, but then I decided that I didn't really need this additional tenon sitting on here anymore. So I was looking at different ways to maybe flip that or whatever. But I think what I decided to do was put the mill housing back in the chuck, to take the mill body off the chuck, put the mill housing back in the chuck, and use that portion as a jam chuck once I got rid of the additional tenon, which you see right there is stopping the two pieces from coming together. So basically I removed that tenon all the way, flipped the entire pepper mill around, and chucked it up in my scrolling jaw chucks, and then it enabled me to start working on creating the shape of my pepper mill.
Ease my troubles, it's what you do. Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one above you? You fill my heart with gladness, take away all of my sadness. You ease my troubles, that's what you do.
Okay, so right here I have my pepper mill housing chucked up in my chuck. Then I have the pepper mill body flipped around backwards so that I could finish the joint where those two pepper mill housing and pepper mill bodies come together, and apply a little finish. And once I have this application of a little bit of finish and some sanding done to that joint where the two meet together, I will be flipping that around and starting to shape the actual shape of the pepper mill. All right, so I finished that sanding, and now I just flipped around the pepper mill body and am putting the two together, and that will now act as a jam chuck. And I will go about finalizing the shape of the pepper mill. Now it's all jam chucked up, and I'm going to start shaping the shape of this body. And to start out with, I'm going to use my roughing gouge. Alright, so I'm using my roughing gouge to create the basic shape of this, stopping now and then to make sure my grain is lined up, and rechecking the fit. Now I'm using my bowl gouge to do some of the final detailing, and now I'm coming in with my Cindy Drozda tool to do a few beads and small detail items. Some sanding sealer on here. Turn this down quite a bit. Alright, here I'm just applying several coats very quickly of sanding sealer, and then doing a little bit of step sanding in between, down to 320, applying a little bit more sanding sealer, and then I'm coming in with my finish. Right, so and applying and buffing my battery died, but and there you have it. I haven't done that much. What I did was I took the base or the mill housing and parted it, finished it up. I have one little red dot I just noticed right there. I'm not sure what that's from. That's really weird. See if I can get that out of there. It's probably from some of my pink, some of the pink stuff I use to pad the end there. So I'll see if I can just lightly braid it out of there, and then I'll have to put this back on and finish that a little bit more. But anyway, I have this here. This fits on nicely. I have this now hollowed out appropriately for my mill. The mill mechanism is right here. That fits really nicely and tightly into that. I'll epoxy that in there. Now what I'm going to be doing is shaping the top end of this. Everything else is done and ready to go. Alright, so I'm running out of memory. What I'm going to do is be parting this off here, and then it'll be ready for the final part. So I can do this real quick.
till the morning sun. I can feel your love when I'm on the run. I'm only running from myself. Doesn't seem there's anywhere else. From the darkest hour to the brightest light that I'd ever seen in your love.
Okay, here what I'm doing is I have a jam chuck that is on the scroll, on my scrolling jaw chuck, that is a 1 1/16 inch dowel basically that's sticking out of my scrolling jaw chuck. That fits nicely and tightly into the hole that runs all the way through the body of the mill. Then I have another jam chuck on my tail stock, which I'm using to send into that same hole and slowly parting away the top surface so I can get a nice clean cut on the top entry of that hole.
What I need the most, like an endless flame.
Alright, so I just epoxied the mechanism in, both sides. It's turning really nicely. Feels great. Now I just have to turn the plug that'll fit into this hole, 1 1/16 inch. And I'll start doing that right now. So now I have a piece of zebra wood chucked up in here, and I'm going to turn a little tenon on this right now down to where it will fit on the top of this peppermint. Okay. Alright, so here it is, my peg. And now what I need to do is make a little V-groove in here, right about here. And this is for the O-ring, a small gasket. So here it is. I'm just going to part it off, and then I'll show you that when it's all finished. Alright, Naked Turners, here it is, finished product. This fits in here real nicely. Got a nice fit on my plug on the top. Came out real cool. It's got a good shape to it. I'll take a couple stills and post the finished product for you. But I think it turned out really nice. This will be a good holiday gift.